everybody. I'm Stacey J.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to VO Buzz Weekly, the global web show all about the voiceover business.
That's right. And on today's show, we have the amazing Jenny McSwain, voice director. She is going to blow your mind. So take out your
36
pads.
years in the business.
Holy Toledo.
Are you kidding me? She's
Right?
got a lot to say and you need to hear it.
Exactly. And today, I'm going to start off with a nice little tip of the week. And this is all about online branding. I'm looking down because I got some notes down here, right? I want to get this right for you. Online branding, we're going to talk about your domain name, your email, and your website look. Okay, I get people from all over the world sending me emails, and I freak out sometimes by their email address.
Obscure.
Obscure. And these are people that are in the business that actually want to make it, and even their domain names are kind of weird. Your email should not be Richard1958 at AOL.com. Okay,
Right.
Not cool, not professional. You change it. Emails are free nowadays.
Well,
so
that
you
could be
have
your
no
personal
excuse.
email, but your business email needs to be really professional.
So here's the thing. Domain names, same thing. It should be, if you're in the voiceover business, it should be yourname.com. That would be perfect. If that's not available, yournamevo.com or yournamevoice.com or yournamevoiceover.com. Something relevant to the voiceover business so that people can find you.
Yeah, and it's searchable.
Absolutely.
On Google.
Same thing with your email address. It should be your name at yourdomainname.com, or if you want to go with a Gmail account or something like that, then it should be yourname@gmail.com. Keep it simple. And
Website look.
Exactly. The website look. Your website should match who you are, what's on your demos. The image should match. When you buy a record and you listen to it, it usually matches the look of the record. And so should your website, okay? So be careful with that. Make sure that you don't have like flying cows with flowers in their mouth or something like that. It has nothing to do with voiceover or what's on any of your demos, okay?
I mean, if you're,
Streamline.
there's people that have websites that are kind of whimsical because that matches their personality.
True.
But just the bottom line is keeping it professional so that you're
Yes.
taken seriously and not
That's right.
the alternative.
And you have a nifty little viewer email
I
for
do.
us, and I'm dying to hear it.
I do.
She doesn't let me see these things sometimes because she wants me to be surprised.
Element of surprise. Okay, this is from Tony.
Yeah.
Tony says, love VO Buzz Weekly. Love it already.
Love it already.
I'd never really given much thought to the voiceover industry. I didn't realize there was so much effort that had to go into it. Now when I watch cartoons or anything involving a voiceover, I find I have a newfound respect for the person behind the voice of my favorite characters. I would like to thank you for enlightening and entertaining me every week, and give a huge thank you to all the men and women in the voiceover industry for all they do.
Wow. Well, thank you
Very
very
cool.
much, Tony. That's
Thank you
very
for
cool.
watching and for appreciating
Absolutely.
it, because it does take a lot.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should go to Miss McSwain, right?
Let's
go.
Okay, guys, our guest today has been called the master of her craft. Fun, fast, intense, and having the ability to bring out the very best in a voice actor. She is one of the most respected animation voice directors in the business, with over 30 years of experience in animated films, TV shows like Fanboy and Chum Chum, The Smurfs, Transformers, Rescue Bots, and so many others, and video games like Dragon Age, Mass Effect, and so many others. She is truly extraordinary, and to go along with all of that, she has 4 Emmy Awards to prove it. We are really excited to have on VO Buzz Weekly the incredible Ginny McSwain.
Yay.
You're good for my self-esteem. Thank you, Stacey. Hanging out
Welcome
here.
to VO Buzz Weekly,
Thank you.
Jenny. We really
Thank
love
you for
having you
being
here.
here.
Thank you
a
for
pleasure. A pleasure to be
Right on.
to be seen in what you're doing, and the people that you are seeing that can give information out to the world is
Yes.
such a plus out there.
Absolutely.
Let alone
We-
to be able to see the people.
Because
Because I'm really glamorous.
Well, look at her hair.
For an
Is that
older
fiery or
woman.
what?
I know.
Oh, God.
Gorgeous.
Used to be redder. I think
Gorgeous.
anybody who knew me
You
was about
go,
this
girl.
color.
I love it.
But anyway,
Jenny's got it going on.
hair's
does.
good.
That's
She
what we're
does.
talking about. So we're going to dive right in here, and I need to ask you this because you're one of the biggest voice directors in the world. At least that's what I think.
Wow,
so
this is
right,
really
this
good
is your
show.
That
title,
is the
baby.
word on the
But let me
street.
tell you,
It is.
I know that it didn't start off like that, and there's probably some really neat little stories in between that got you to that point. How did that all happen for you?
I graduated from college in '73, and I moved out here with my husband and my new husband, and I was going to be an actress in Hollywood in the January of '74. And I was also a Midwest girl who had a lot of practicality and thought that, you know, you had to have that day job. And so, I mean, one of my best jobs ever was when I was a bank teller at United California Bank.
Oh, nice.
That's right when I moved here. I walked to the bank and opened up a checking account, and that was it. So,
You opened up a checking account,
yeah,
and then
I
they
said,
gave you a
and
job.
I said,
with
"Can
that
I work
too?"
here?" I did.
Open an account and get a free job.
That's a great campaign.
This is what was great about my time, because I was absolutely fearless about asking for what I wanted. And I walked to the bank, and I thought, you know, killing two birds with one stone on that one. But then I worked for I worked for my dentist. I worked in the LA City College bookstore.
Wow.
I got to read a lot of great books when I wasn't busy balancing money for
Yeah.
the day. And then I used to pass, then I was living in, it was great because my husband and I lived mid-Wilshire, right by the old Ambassador Hotel. And I went to college with Annie Potts. And so Annie Potts and myself and my best friend Jackie and her then husband, we decided we were going to live together communally. You know, we're past the hippie thing, but we thought we could save some money.
Yeah.
So we moved to Studio City, and we know where that huge studio colony is now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where that was all like prairie, little carnivals would come to town. This is when Ventura Boulevard was really like a country bumpkin street. And so I was working at LA City College bookstore, and I used to pass, I had this huge Monte Carlo that was bigger than this room, and I used to pass Hanna-Barbera every day on the freeway. And I remember looking over thinking, Flintstones.
I should work there.
And I was bored. I wasn't a very good pounding the pavement kind of an actress. I expected Hollywood to be calling me, and I didn't know what I was doing. I did a couple equity waiver plays and a couple 3 lines and something, but I was like pretty half-witted about what I was doing, I'm sure. So I also had an art background. So I don't know. I just thought, I'm sick of working at the bookstore. I'm sick of working for my dentist. And this is actually I'm working for my dentist.
That's funny.
And so,
Did you get
I think I
like
was getting
free cleanings?
No, but I
Lots
got
of
in a lot of
dental floss.
trouble. I got in a lot of trouble.
Oh boy, we
And
don't
I
want to
made-
hear about it.
I made $75 a week. That was my paycheck. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm passing Hanna-Barbera, and I thought, I'm just going to go in there. And this is this is where you're going to have a little history too. This is in 1974. Animation. Saturday morning production was only seasonal. And so the whole kind of year-long thing was, the cycle was the shows aired for the September Saturday morning shows, right? They ran their course, they were maybe 13 episodes, right? And then they would be dark at the animation studios. And by the way, it was only like Filmation and Hanna-Barbera at
Right.
the time. And
That's
some other
right.
smaller ones,
Yeah.
which like I said, I wish I had a pod in my ear
Yeah.
so I could be corrected. But for me, that's all I knew. And so they'd be dark in the wintertime, sell their shows for the spring, make them, this whole summer cycle would start, and they would air again in September. So I pick December 75, whereas the whole so I just, one day, I just pulled over the huge Monte Carlo and walked in. It's the old entrance of Hanna-Barbera, not the one that they changed it to. And 3400 Cahuenga Boulevard. And I just walk in one night. It was like, and I was doing a play with Annie Potts. I was doing Man in the Moon Marigolds. And I had to go to I had to play that night, and it was about 5:30. I thought, well, I can do this in about 10 minutes. I'm just going to walk in and fill out like a general application. I'd sweep the floors. Hanna-Barbera, that's pretty good. I thought,
Yeah. Why-
So I
at
walked
least you
in.
can say you work at Hanna-Barbera.
Exactly. You're
but
inside.
here's the deal. I had no ideals. This was just like, maybe I can get a job pushing paper or something.
Right.
So I walk in, and there's this old-fashioned, receptionist with a switchboard. And one of the producers there, an older man named Art Scott, was flirting with the receptionist, who is still a friend of mine. And I just was like, hi, can I, do you have any general applications or anything? And this very nice man stopped his flirting and looked at me and said, do you have an art portfolio? Just out of the blue. And I went, yeah.
Of course I do.
Yeah, sure. So he said, I'll tell you what, why don't you come back tomorrow night, and I'll introduce you to Iwo Takamoto. Do you know who that is? He's the big renowned art director who designed Scooby-Doo,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
stuff for Hanna-Barbera
Oh
that
my
you know
gosh.
and love.
Wow.
Flintstones, the whole thing. He was the one next to, Hanna
Yeah.
and Barbera.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know this man's name. I'm like, okay, well, all right, I'll come back. So I go home and get out my little college portfolio. I'm taking little drawings off the refrigerator, anything I did, something on a doodle pad and calling it art. And brought it in the next night, good as word. I had an appointment with Iwo Takamoto.
Wow.
And I sat there, and Iwo I'll never forget him. He's my 36-year-old patron saint. And he was sitting behind his desk, and he was a very short Japanese man. And he talked like this. And so I'm like, what? I'm sitting across from him like, what? Okay, let me look at you. And he looked at the artwork, and I'm sure he was like, oh. But he was so polite and very stoic. I mean, the face read nothing, this Japanese stone face. But you know what got me into Hanna-Barbera? My college degree. No artist there, I think, had a college degree in those days. They all went to art schools and all that stuff. So anyway, I was like, he said to me, well, I can hire you in March. And I'm thinking, oh, great, I got a play to do. He's not going to hire me. I'm back to the dentist. So I leave, and good to his word, he called me 3 months later, March 76, and he put me in the art department, and I started there under a girl that managed the art department. We saw this is another thing. I hope this isn't too boring. But
no, this is
in
fantastic.
the art department then, our job was, we sold shows then by having Joe Barbera pitch the show, and not even with any script or anything, maybe like artwork up on the wall. It was all about artwork. And he'd tell us stories in his great Sicilian way, and he would sell a show to the 3 networks. But all the artwork that the artists would bring in for the development of the show, we would pretty up and put on boards and make it really nice. And Donna was the master at it, or we did some cleanup and some stuff to make everything gorgeous. And we'd send things to New York and, to the network, NBC in New York or CBS in New York, wherever. And that was my tutelage. Then I started, the thing that was so great about this is my masters of life, was Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
I was there 8 years, 4 of this is what I'm describing. So then I worked for the head writer. If you had light behind your eyes, somebody put you in a different place if you wanted to be.
Did you ask? Did you say, I want to move into, or they just saw something in you and said, here, let's put you over here?
I think they saw something in me, because I was like, I had a pretty good personality then. I was bright-eyed.
You still do.
Well, but then I was positive. Then I was really positive. So, but I was like, oh my God. And I liked everybody. I thought everybody at work had to be your friend, which I found out later. Not necessarily so.
Yeah, probably
but anyway,
not always good.
It was this great thing, and everybody was liked me, and I liked them, and there was a great energy, and everything was being done in one building. So I got to see every process of the whole animation journey. Then head writer, which was another process, dealing with the 3 networks, and I worked for a wonderful man named Jim Ryan. And then I went, I used to try and weasel in and audition for the voiceover. I was an actress. Wow. So all these actors used to come in and out, and I'd be like, listening, frustrated actress going, I can do that. Like everybody says. But I was an actress, so I was like, I can do that. And so some very sweet producers would let me come in and audition. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but I big coolions. And but I got the essence of it and the energy. I have a lot of energy when I talk anyway, so I thought this is good, Yeah. And I landed a series my first year there called Hey, It's the King.
Hey, it's the King.
Hey, it's the King, which a big hit, I'm sure. But it had it had Lenny Weinrib. If you want, this is all voiceover ecology, if you want to look up some of these names, and Susan Silo, who became a very dear friend of mine, and a lot of old timies in it. But I was, I went in and I got in SAG. Yeah. So I mean, it was like, I can do this. And then I got a couple callbacks for regulars on things, and I did Pat Fraley always kids me that I did Secretary number 2 and Guard number 1 on the Scooby-Doo special. But they were. I mean, I wasn't not talented, but I wasn't trained. And now with all these years that have passed, and you see what goes into this. But cutting to, I used to see these reel-to-reel demos. That was the demos then.
That was the only thing.
And they were commercial and animation mixed. It wasn't this big, grand.
Has to be
has separate and my trailer voice and my singing voice. And it was just one, and you'd get it, and you had a picture on it, and it was good enough for me. And my reel-to-reel. Yep. And later, came on a few beats later, but I went, who's minding the store and all this? why don't you have someone like me go in with the producers and take notes if they want, and then I can, I can listen to the reels that come in and get back to the actors. And somebody, I would thank you again, was, I don't know if somebody was listening or it just magically happened, but after, I also had a little brief stint in development, which was totally bogus because everything I brought to them, and everything I thought was so brilliant. They were like, we got in a lot of trouble. We played a lot of MASH on the PA. We were obnoxious when I was in development for like 2 minutes. But then the story that I just told you about the demos came up, and can I help? And can I go in the recording end? Because there were like 3 producers who did all the voiceover recording. They had 3 secretaries or assistants, and so it was in 3 entities all over the building, and Mr. Barbera.
Right.
So I was like, who's bringing this all together? So ironically then, all of a sudden I heard one day that they were bringing in Gordon Hunt from the Mark Taper Forum, who was the casting director there, to come in and be the voiceover director. And Gordon and Mr. Barbera had known each other since a long time ago. There was a primetime series called Wait Till Your Father Comes Home. And I think Gordon had directed that for Joe. He also had directed a play that Mr. Barbera had written years before that. So anyway, Gordon Hunt is now coming over, the celebrated Gordon Hunt.
Here we go.
Well, and I don't know who this guy is. I'm like, oh, fine. I work here. He doesn't. So And so he comes in, and so they said, Jenny, you're going to work with Gordon. And so Gordon and I are plugged together, and Gordon is this lovely, professional, positive, cheerful man, and I'm always like, okay, so I'm gonna be the casting director. I like gave him. He always said, I always talk to him like this, with my finger up like that. So, but we started the recording department at Hanna-Barbera.
Maybe it wasn't that he was nice. Maybe you just scared him.
Tolerated. He was nice. Very good at tolerating me, but he. We did it all. We started a recording department, and I take nobody knows a lot that. Everybody just thinks people magically appear out there directing and casting, but that was, a lot of them came from us. Or we were begat from that department.
Well, you really revolutionized the whole voice directing possibility.
Well, and then, of course, I'm casting. I'm bringing in all these great unknowns then, and yet alone some well-knowns. Yeah. And because we could then, and that's maybe something we'll talk about. Yeah. We'll get to, but. We were typing storyboards. I got to know all the aspects of production. It wasn't just, I know acting, that's my beast. I got to see everything. It was like going back to school. And Gordon was so pleasant to work with and such a nice man. And I learned he was my mentor in this particular genre. Yeah. He really was someone to watch. So I would go in, not only would I listen to all the demos and get back to every single actor, I listened to everyone that came across my desk. I had a letter that I would send out. If it was good, I brought them in for auditions, general audition interviews, and but I literally got to go into the booth with him for every single show we did, and he put out footage galore for Mr. Hanna, and then we'll talk about the Hanna-Barbera separation.
Absolutely.
But I got to go in, and I was his other set of ears, so I go, I think maybe.
Well, and being an actor yourself, that informed your decision.
And he let me. Yeah. And then one time he went to Australia. He had to be gone for a month to direct a play. He had it in his clause, in his contract, that...
he can go to plays.
Yep, and he also taught. He was still, and he could leave town.
Yes.
But he also had like a Monday afternoon class, which he might still have, or a Wednesday night class, and that it allowed in his contract. So I got to fill in when he wasn't there. But I went in like, what, me? What? I can't. And then we just did it. It started. And that was my training in voiceover.
Yep.
Can you kind of break down what you go through in this day and age of casting, all the way through to someone books the job and comes in to record?
Right, and I'm also going to put a little asterisk on that question, because I do primarily directing these days.
Right.
Rescue Bots was my last casting, and I did a Kid Icarus Nintendo game recently that aired that was launched in March. But I still love it when I have control. When I don't, I've learned to really just show up for the directing part and and give it the best shot I can and get the best I can out of people that I don't know too. Right. But to answer that question, in the older day, it was calling up the agents, and there were many of which you know today, and giving out the breakdown. and on the phone, by the way, no technology.
Right.
And you also had got to build a rapport with the various agents and schmooze and find out who they had and who was new and who was coming back or out of town or whatever. And that's what I really miss. But we used to give the breakdown out, and then I would have to call like whatever 10 agencies, 8 to 10 agencies
Right.
then, and make my hot list. Now, a lot of people felt like they were left out, I'm sure. This is never a win-win situation.
Sure.
But then they would come in live. Maybe we would hold auditions for like a week, and we had our own studios there, so it wasn't like that was costing money, except for time if they were doing transfers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then we had them live. They had real direction from a casting director and the director maybe, or just me, and from that point on, we would send them through our picks, and then the network would hear them and make their selects. Maybe have a callback. Maybe we'd start from scratch again. But it was all hands on, that way.
Right.
Then I could call the agent back and say, "Okay, who else do you got now?" And it was so that was our system for many years. Now the system is Voicebank. And that started, I wish I could complain even more about it, but it started so long ago with somebody having the bright idea, and they probably know who they are, of having the agents audition in their offices.
Right.
And so then the copy would go out, and then, now maybe be a little bit before email, but still maybe you schmooze a little bit, and fax over the copy, right? And then that all changed to what is now Voicebank. And I don't even think anybody picks up the phone anymore. It's a rare time.
Very rare.
And this is from me in the last year just saying this.
Right.
Voicebank is, I did it for G.I. Joe for the Hub too, 2 years ago or more. The second round of G.I. Joe, everybody. And that was the first time I had done Voicebank myself. And I really, you've got now 12 agencies at least that you facelessly throw out the copy to, you a really stern cover letter saying, please only submit your best. They never do. You're always going to, I need 5 per 12 characters, and I'll get 15.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I'm the one sitting in front of the computer listening to every single one of them, like I did, was listening to every demo that came across my desk in 80, that was 1980 when I was a casting director over there. But it's our duty to do that.
Yeah.
But it's still such a face, so you can imagine what we're listening for the auditions. For me.
Yeah.
What are you
I'm
listening
listening
for?
acting. And if it doesn't grab me at the beginning, I delete it. I mean,
on average, how many seconds do you listen to? You don't listen to the whole
it's not a
thing?
matter of seconds. I think it's just a matter of if I can get through the first line.
Right.
If I know the copy's in front of me and I know those 3 little paragraphs. Let's say, in all fairness, if they don't grab me by the first paragraph, I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Especially when you're listening to over 1,000 auditions.
Sure.
Or more.
Yeah.
And then what if they don't work out? You have to have more come in. So it's turned into this whole thing, and then the callbacks will be live. We tease them with and then maybe the callbacks will be live, and then we maybe have a couple hours or a day of auditions and callbacks.
Now,
It's just very disappointing to me. I hate the system. I hate it, and I can't fight it, but that's the way it is.
Well, and
It's lonely in the middle. Lonely in the middle.
Yeah. Now, is 1,000 auditions? Is that like for real? Is like a real number?
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
for G.I. Joe and Rescue Bots, I had over 1,000 auditions. And G.I. Joe was a little bit more extensive. So I think I did like a day and a half or a day of auditions outside, live. But at least actors are coming in and getting direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sitting there
Absolutely.
with the producer or the writer and myself. And, because I'm the first one, I really like working for Mr. Jeff Klein over at Hasbro Studios at the Hub, because it's a rare thing to really be trusted still.
Yeah.
And to have people
Exactly.
know from whence you came. It doesn't mean we can't go head-to-head a few times. But the acting is really important to me. So I'm the first
Yeah.
one on a live callback to go, I don't see it. There's no light on it. Ooh.
Yeah.
No energy. They don't get it.
Yeah.
And I can also do, because the live auditions used to be able to help us as to who could take direction.
Sure.
When you get,
Absolutely.
if
Yeah,
I said,
that's so
I want everything
important.
that you just did, but I want that Southern accent to be a little bit more deliberate, and I want this, they could adjust it, and I could see what good technicians they were as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Because you
The technical
basically-
science, technical and acting goes hand in hand. I
Yeah.
like.
Absolutely.
And you basically only have one 4-hour session to produce a half
Correct.
hour.
Correct.
So that's
Right.
I mean, so you
And
have
let
to
me
work
just point
quickly
out,
and have
in
people
the
that can
old
take
time-
direction.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Stacey. I talk
that's
over
okay.
people too, which
That's
is
all
rude.
right.
It's okay. We'll
But-
just talk over you.
Thank you. You can. Just keep going.
Let's just all keep talking.
Keep whittling away.
Yeah,
See who wins.
exactly.
And I really love
Yeah.
it. But what were we talking about?
Well, that you only have one 4-hour session to generate a half-hour
Right.
show, so you have to have people that can take direction and redirection.
when I
Wow.
have
Yeah.
the client I just mentioned, I can get my half-hour show done in 4 hours. I
Exactly.
have clients now where
It's a struggle.
to get maybe an 11-minute can be done in 4 hours.
Wow.
Maybe not even that because we're missing a celebrity actor.
Yeah.
Because my cast can be all celebrities sometimes, or mostly celebrities. So to complete a show anymore, it's a rare, beautiful
Yeah.
thing in one day. The day that we want, the day
The day
we
you
want,
actually need it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
So, what tip would you give somebody an actor, the animation actor, that could help him on that audition process when you're listening back, that you're hearing what you need to hear?
Know your craft.
Know your craft.
Know
Acting
your
is a
voice,
must.
and voiceover is it's its own art form.
Yeah.
I cannot say that enough. This is my class side of me.
Good.
It is about people that are actors, not just voices. And
Right.
I can't tell you how many people are delusional out there if they don't have the other tool. Because if you're a stage actor, it comes into play. The energy, the anticipating the line to keep the energy of a play going. I think that's always a payoff for people. That's going to help them get to acclimate themselves faster.
Sure.
If you're a singer, it all works out. Improv helps with the spontaneity of so many of these comedy shows that we have
Sure.
now. There's a lot that goes hand in hand. So the more you study, and the more, that's why I really like to know people's backgrounds before
Yeah.
I work with them. Especially even workshops or classes, I always like to go around the room and say, "What have you done?" Because I can see what their obstacles are going to be.
Exactly.
Now there are some breakthrough street smart people too.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying when somebody knows what you're talking about. I just want to be the puppeteer. I don't want to be giving out line reads
Right.
in the booth to
Right.
people that
Right.
probably know better than that.
Right.
So I'm expecting, my expectations for them are as high as mine. So, I'm strict.
Do you find yourself occasionally giving a line reading? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
But I do it in the sense of, okay, you're running and the line could be more like this than, and acting it out on the action rather than going, can you say it just like I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you're just trying to
Only if
pull-
I'm in a really bad mood and it's a Friday afternoon
And you gotta
I
go
had
home.
it. And I'm on
That's
take number
funny.
6.
Yeah.
No, but that's
that's
how much
good.
I appreciate the
Just
ones
be
that
a
are
parrot
right there.
and do it like
Yeah.
that.
Just
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Celebrities, pop stars in animation seems to be a trend that's here to stay.
I call it the TV Guide School of Casting.
TV Guide
Please
School of Casting.
explain.
Please
If
explain.
there's a great hit comedy show out there or show that anybody watches, that's who they want. And I mean that glibly and I mean it sincerely because it's really irritating. Because one, it doesn't mean you don't get like a fabulous person to come in. I mean, I've worked with John Candy and Howie Mandel and Tim Curry and people that I adore.
Right.
But we're up against schedules that are, how do you get a show done? In the
Yeah.
Mr. Hanna days, they would have gone to the next person.
Right.
Yeah.
We recorded on time. The trains ran on time.
Right.
And now it's a matter of waiting weeks to get people, and it's okay. And nobody seems to be as flappable as I am, as my day was when we had to get things done.
Right.
So I just kind of roll with it actually. And it's interesting. Some of the people I'm genuinely interested, like Steve Zahn did something for us the other day on a really good show I'm doing called Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja. Can't say enough good things about it. That's a real comedy show. So the creators and writers have picked some very funny people, and they're higher profile.
Yeah.
So that's the style for them.
Right.
I like, my theory was, and I'm not trying to run for office, was may the best voice win.
Yes.
Not going to a show or something. Who can you think of, and how do you describe a character without saying it has to be a celebrity?
Right.
So some of the celebrities, by the way, with the built-in thing,
Yeah.
like the Wanda Sykes and all the crazy
yeah,
built-ins,
yeah.
Danny DeVito energy or whatever.
Right.
It's great. I mean, that's why they're there.
Exactly.
It's, that goes back to Hanna-Barbera days when, Dawes and Mel were, had these great, well, they did multiple voices. That's not a very good example. But when you got somebody that just had a built-in voice, like
Rodney Dangerfield.
yeah, but perfect. You're on my track. That's exactly
I'm
what
on
I
your
mean.
track.
Yes.
You're on my track.
Yeah.
But that would have been a great idea. So I see a lot of more of the celebrity casting than ever before. And that's, it's just, I can't win that battle.
Right.
Unless, and even when I'm casting on the few things that I just mentioned again, there is a wish list. And then there's somebody's sister.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy that lives down our street, has a cute voice. I mean, there's going to be a whole potpourri of suggestions, but nothing makes me happier when it's an open call and I can pick the people that we
They're
mutually love.
talented.
That deserve it, yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
For
And
their
they are
talent.
the sure thing. They come in with sad, a little observation from me, with all the celebrities coming in and with a younger client or creator, and they don't know the Corey Burtons and the Jeff Bennetts and the people that are so first string out there.
Yeah,
You know what
brilliant.
I mean?
Yeah.
Or the Gray DeLisles or Tress McNeils, and that they can't, when they come in for like the second string, third string, one sentence voice that they're going to be doing because the celebrity has the lead. Even the cameos are the lead, other celebrities now.
Right.
And then the creator will go, oh, they're really good. Do you think they can give me a second voice? And so I'm like, don't.
Yeah, they could give
right?
you 700 voices.
Yeah. How about that?
That's the only part
Yeah.
that still pinches me a little bit.
Yeah.
And but you know what? I'm not going to be the one that changes that.
No, you're not.
I'm here to
Gotta
tell
work
you.
with it.
And speaking of pinching, what do you love most about directing? Besides pinching people.
And being a commando. What do I like?
Yeah,
when
like
I
what
have
really
the
makes you
freedom
feel
to
good?
direct. I love telling the story. I like that radio drama feel. I like really concentrate. I like treating it like a play. I like treating it like a radio play. And I'll tell you something, quite honestly. I can as with my background, so appreciate great animation and style, and with the interactive games, and look at the, oh my God, they're like feature
Gorgeous.
films.
It's
now.
insane.
Yeah.
But I listen to the stories, and that's probably takes me back to a time when that was more prevalent, and that's why the acting is so important to me.
Yeah.
Because I want to cry at someone's line.
Sure.
I want to cry.
Absolutely.
I want to be in the moment and really pull out the drama and the theatrics of it, and yet alone the Borscht Belt silly fun when we have that opportunity too.
Yeah.
And I want it to be the best, in my professional opinion. I stand by me. I want it to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, this isn't a one-man band. I work with some really smart people.
Yeah, you
and
do.
Where I don't care what age. I don't want to get on that
Yeah.
tangent of these young people.
Whippersnappers.
But they are so smart.
Yeah.
I may not always want to be there, but they're so smart. If they don't think I'm not learning as I go, they're high, because there's so much, and the trends change.
Yeah.
So you want to be on board.
Absolutely.
Right.
I don't want to be that one, going, what'd
This
you
is
say?
how we used to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right. You have to, and I've learned in my own stubborn way to be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have seen so much in the
Right.
course of your career, so at some point you have to find the balance, or
Correct.
you're
Or
gonna-
I'm miserable. And if
Yeah, and that's not
when,
worth
when
it.
Ginny's not happy, the room's poisoned.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
want to do that.
Exactly. Are you happy right
know.
now?
Yeah.
Right, I'm
Okay,
so
good.
far.
She's happy so far. Let's keep her
All
that
right,
way.
well,
So
let's
far.
I have a question for you. What do you think could be some helpful information that you can give, the actors out there that are coming into, to doing these big productions, to make it easier for the production to just go smoothly? How can they
Tell you
prepare?
why. Leave your iPads and cell phones at home.
Okay.
I don't care that you're sitting there, you're getting paid. So be focused. I expect people to do their homework. They have the whole show in front of them. They have the whole storyline in front of them. They know who they're talking to. I expect them to do, once they know their character, I expect them to do what that homework would involve.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's reading the bloody script.
Well,
People
yeah,
don't
you
do
need
it.
to know what happens before and after.
Exactly.
you know?
And that really is cumbersome. I love it when an actor,
Yeah.
and some well-known ones,
Yeah.
will go, well, I don't know what's happening here. Really? Hey, did you read the script? And
that just seems so
please. And
shocking
I know how many don't, and I know who
irresponsible.
doesn't. But
Yeah.
it's really great if they do. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to harp on that. But it's really great if they do, because then I can treat it like, let's go, everybody. As long as they're, on a new show, I don't do that. A new show, we want to talk, have a little meet and greet, the whole thing. Maybe have our first table read for that day, and then go, just so it's not like the gates are open, the lights are on, go. But as we get going, I think the actors appreciate it too. They can get some momentum.
Absolutely.
And so to finish that, is really concentrating on what you sounded like as a technician, so you know the core of your voice and the high and the low around it, so it stays consistent.
Right.
And just staying tuned in, listening to what people are saying to you,
Exactly.
especially when something's not working, and that can happen to the best of them. And just knowing what to correct and being that technical side of it too.
Okay.
But I find when people drift and it becomes cocktail hour in a session versus people just, not that everybody has to sit upright and wait for Ginny to talk or the director to talk.
Yeah.
But I know the ones who can stay with me and still have some fun, and the ones that can't and get distracted. So, but doing your homework is really the key.
If there's a voice actor who doesn't know you, has not worked with you, is it appropriate for them to contact you?
Well, I would like to say it is, but luckily a lot of people don't give out emails and personal information like that. I usually would prefer if they come through somebody that we mutually know. I'm always happy to, it's an email,
Right.
Right.
not on the phone, but you can the unsolicited thing plays into this as well. And
Dropping by your home is out of the question.
yeah, don't do it. I don't think I'm
Following you through Trader Joe's is not a good idea.
I've had a couple in my day.
I am sure you
demos
have.
by my front door.
It
It must have been really disappointing that I
Oh,
wasn't
boy.
living more opulently.
Yeah, right?
But
We sure this is the place?
yeah. Jeez, poor Ginny. I hope she gets another job. But it's I don't get a lot anymore. But if I do, the occasional. Miss McSwain, if you're looking for the best voice in, British
Right.
dialects or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that's me.
I just email them back and say that I'm mostly directing, which is true.
Right.
So I really can't help them on the casting area unless, And after 36 years, I know so many people that I would, if I had to make a hot list today, I would have no trouble, I would love to go to the agents, of course.
Yeah.
But I would have no trouble just with the people that I already know,
Right.
to put
Absolutely.
together
Yeah,
a
exactly.
great cast.
Well, what about the person who's, obviously the animation business is so competitive.
Yes.
What advice could you give to someone who's trying to break into it, who has the acting chops, who has the agent? What do you think needs to be there to give them
I think
chance?
a person starting today has to be really know how to network themselves. And these classes are a blessing. There are not only classes, beginning, media, intermediate, advanced, and that's
Right.
very important that people know what they're getting. They're paying
Yeah.
good money.
Sure.
There's private coaching. Again, know who you're getting. It's nice when people are working in the business, actually working in the business that can teach, because then we're coming
Yeah.
right off the fields and saying, "Don't do this today. Don't
Yeah.
do that." Or this is what we're looking for, and nobody's doing it out there.
Right.
So staying fresh with your classes. Oh my God! If you open up the Voiceover Resource Guide, you'll get blinded
yeah,
by the
exactly.
training, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I also hesitate just that people do their homework on who they're taking with, and what credentials are and all that, just so they're spending their good money
Exactly.
safely. But this is where everything pays off. The singing lessons, like I said, improv especially. If you can
Yeah.
get yourself in an improv class,
Right.
I'm sure you've heard people say it's comedy, comedy, comedy. People always wonder why the Billy Wests and the great silly fun people out there excel, because they think funny for a reason.
Yep.
And you can train and work out and try and find that magic yourself with groundlings and all that.
Right.
I think it's really, all these classes can come into play and work with you
Yes.
in your voiceover training.
Keep you plugged in.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always say, even people always think, I will say in the 21st century today, that people always think that animation is a different beast than commercial. Yes, it is. But you're still selling something. And it still needs a presence on mic. And you still might be playing a housewife in that commercial.
Exactly.
Or the goofy kid or the alien or something. That, you're always coming up with voices. People think that when they come from commercial, that it's a different switch for animation. Oh my God, it's that different microphone. It's not.
Yeah.
You just you're acting the commercial, as far as I'm concerned. Act the role.
Right.
So does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think it's
Yeah.
pretty good advice, because I
is
watch a lot
great
of people
advice.
going freeze. I'll hear their the commercial. I always ask to hear the commercial demos too when I'm training people, and or working with them. And
Because you want to hear.
I want to hear their energy,
Right.
Because sometimes then they get an animation and it's like dragged down here, and I'm like, what happened when you were
Right.
the mom that was mad at your kid, or the
Right.
testimonial energy or something? There's three genres now to me, and I'm going to get 10% of this if anybody repeats.
Three
it.
genres.
Here we
genres.
go. Get your pencils.
Cartoony,
Cartoony.
The loopy.
Sure,
yeah.
The action adventure, which is the, maybe the battle scenes and
Yep.
everything else, or Batman, any superhero.
Right.
Then I call it the sitcom genre. And that's looking at your primetime sitcoms that you see out there, love, or every channel, syndicated channel that has a comedy. And it's that kind of, it's a natural voice, but it's a comedy pacing and jokes.
Exact timing.
Yeah.
And that's what I love
Timing,
about
yeah.
the writers that I'm working with right now at Disney TV, Disney UK, is that it's a sitcom feel. And it's really smart and it's really funny, and when it works really well. But again, it's your comedy classes, will teach you that timing. Comedy is weird because funny is relative. Let's face it. What I
Yeah.
think is funny, you
Right.
think is whoa, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's finding the right style, but I think people should pay absolute attention to this sitcom-y genre. And watch your animated features right now. Animated features come out 24/7.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's all celebrities for these casts. And listen to the timing of it. The Ray Romanos and they set the tone just like they did on their TV show.
Yep.
Hence sitcom
Yeah.
genre.
Right.
Well, that is all the time we have for today, everybody, but be sure and tune in next week for part 2 of Jenny McSwain. It's going to be awesome.
It is, and send us your questions and comments. Plus, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest at VO Buzz Weekly. You guys take care until next week, and just remember, you always have time for a little buzz.